good morning. If you're just coming up the stairs, I won't rush you. Look for your RM, grab that cup of coffee, but for everyone else that's in the room, if you could just make your way to your seat, that would be great. Good morning and welcome to Saskatoon. Thank you for braving the weather and making it here. Our host city is welcoming us for SARM's Midterm Convention. My name is Rusty Dean. I'm a familiar face. I've hosted this a few times now from the RM of Scott, joining you for the next 2 days. My main job, of course, is to keep everyone on time, and hopefully things will run smoothly for the next 2 days. Last night, I wanted to mention that the Swirl event was hosted here. That is Saskatchewan Women in Rural Leadership, right here at the TCU Place. It is something special to see all the women that are coming together from the RMs and gather in a place like this. Of course, the weather did deter a few people from coming, but I want to remind you, if you are a woman in an RM that is in a leadership role, please join Swirl. You can find out more information on the SARM website, but it is an event that happens at midterm. It's also an event that takes place too at convention. There's a little bit of opportunity to gather, so I encourage you to be a part of it. All right, let's get to this. I want you to help yourself to coffee this morning, and you'll notice that there is going to be coffee throughout the entire day, coffee and cookies. So that'll keep you going. This is going to be a long day, but we have a lot to get you through. And I want to say thank you to my sponsor from Municipal Hail Insurance for having me on stage. As we begin, SARM would like to acknowledge that Saskatoon is situated on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands and gathering place of the Cree, Dakota, Nakota, Saulteaux, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and declaration of our commitment to respect and honor the long and vibrant history of Indigenous peoples. We hope this recognition will also inspire the members we represent to do the same, so that we can show what is possible when partners work together in the spirit of reconciliation. At this time, we'd also like to take a moment to express our immense gratitude for this opportunity to gather here together as neighbors, advocates, members, and champions of rural Saskatchewan. We hope that in addition to seeking your own answers, you will compassionately listen, learn from, and inspire each other to imagine what is possible when we all come together to amplify the voice of rural Saskatchewan. I would like to welcome 4-time Canadian Country Music Association nominee and 6-time Saskatchewan Country Music Association Fans' Choice Entertainer of the Year award winner, Cody Prevost, to join us for the national anthem. Cody is also a dad. We were just chatting about life at the rink. He has 3 girls, so he made it here in this stormy weather too with his busy life. So please give him a warm welcome. Cody.
If you guys could, please rise for O Canada. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise from true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God, keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
I'd like to invite you as well to take a brief moment of silence to remember those who have dedicated time and effort into our rural municipalities that we no longer see in the room. At this time, I'd like to introduce our board. You'll see them on the stage here. Acting President Bill Huber, RM of Lipton, number 217, RM of Tellymet 216. Please stand. Acting Vice President and Division 3 Director Darren Steinley, RM Excelsior, number 166. Division 1 Director Bob Moulding, RM of Abernathy, number 186. Division 2 Director Cody Jordison, RM of Lumsden, number 189. Division 4 Director Myron Kopek, RM of Buchanan, number 304. Division 5 Director Blair Cummins, RM of Blucher Park, number 343. Division 6 Director Randy Amick, RM of Meeting Lake, number 466. Ex Officio Director Sheila Kiesig, RM of Tellymet, number 216. Executive Director Jay Meyer. Incoming Executive Director Laurel Felton. Thank you. I am sure many of you have noticed this and can see this. After introducing our board, we have quite a few new faces. Before we continue, I would like to take a moment to salute those who recently served on our board. Please take a look to the screens to the side of the stage as we have a video to share. It's coming. Just wait. We got to get all the glitches out this morning.
Judy Harwood. At SARM, board recognition is more than a long-standing tradition. It's an opportunity to honor and recognize the far-reaching contributions of our retiring board members. This year, our thank yous go out to Larry Grant, Judy Harwood, Darwin Whitfield, Guy LaGranger, and Ray Orb. Celebrating your contributions is not only a privilege, but a reminder that when we value the work of one another, we don't just grow, we thrive. As Division 3's director, Larry Grant earned a reputation not only as an advocate for environmental conservation, but as someone who ensured that environmental policies would be implemented with common sense in mind. His commitment to the well-being of Southwest Saskatchewan was and remains unwavering, and it's a passion that Larry believes is in his blood.
I was born and raised here in Val-Marie. My grandfather come to Val-Marie in 1910, so we've been here 110 years. We've been ranchers ever since my grandfather come here. I guess cattle are in my blood. The best place to live in the world is Southwest Saskatchewan. Because of the people that are here, they are the best in the world. Rural Saskatchewan, we're kind of like a big family. If somebody's got problems, somebody is there to help. My grandfather was an MLA. My father was a director on the Canadian Cattlemen's Association and Saskatchewan Stock Growers for many years. My brother was chairman of the Saskatchewan Stock Growers. So I guess it runs in the family.
At SARM board meetings, Larry's deep love for ranching was evident in all his actions, and his steadfast support for the SARM team will be greatly missed.
Larry's experience and advice in municipal and agriculture issues was always appreciated by our board and our staff. Larry's career revolves around ranching and the environment complementing each other. Thank you, Larry, for your years of service.
Described by her colleagues as a loyal board member who is never afraid to have difficult conversations, Judy is someone who doesn't shy away from accountability or standing up for others. A true role model, Judy was responsible for spearheading the Saskatchewan Women in Rural Leadership Initiative, which has grown into a network of approximately 30 women elected to RM councils across Saskatchewan. Judy believes that good governance is the cornerstone of all successful organizations. And as she looks back on her contributions, she hopes that her shared stories and experiences will inspire other women to fearlessly support each other in the boardroom and our communities.
I've sat on numerous boards, everything from Ronald McDonald House to the Chamber of Commerce to the Prairie Land Board. I've been on the Sask Power Board, SaskTel Board, I think what I love about rural Saskatchewan are really the people. When I moved here many, many years ago, I found the people in Saskatchewan to be very honest people. They still believed in a handshake, that meant something. I'm a big believer in women getting involved in all levels of government, of course, and taking on other roles as well. As a female on SARM, I hope, if nothing else, I serve as a bit of a role model for other women to step up and maybe try to get on the SARM board. We're needed at the table.
We know that for years to come, SARM will continue to hear stories about the difference Judy made in Division 5. Her dedication will be remembered by all.
Judy's expertise in municipal governance is one of her strongest assets. Judy contributed greatly to the diversity of our board, and her strong character was always appreciated. Thank you, Judy, for serving on the SARM board.
As Division 6's director, Darwin Whitfield consistently put people first, demonstrating kindness and compassion in all his interactions. Described by colleagues as the strong, silent type, he was known for exercising patience during board discussions, often waiting for the energy to subside before weighing in with thoughtful insights or reframing the conversation in a more positive way. He was also never afraid to ask why and how, or underestimate the importance of working together.
I believe it's key that municipalities really work with each other. It's important that we make this a strong province, a strong municipality, a strong division. Working with municipalities has been a real benefit. Most people are friendly enough to talk to each other, work with each other. I'm here to listen, get your information to the place that it needs to go to, and to work with the municipalities to get that looked after as best I can. Keep our families here and working. Let's keep growing.
Though Darwin's knowledge of roads, bridges, and oil and gas issues were unsurpassed, his patience and willingness to listen will be equally remembered and missed.
Darwin always provided sound advice, whether it was on industry or municipal issues. Darwin is a person who likes to listen before speaking, and when he does speak, endears himself to others. Thank you for your service, Darwin.
As ex officio director, Guy Legranger's dedication to his career as a municipal administrator has made him an invaluable asset to the SARM team. Whether at the board table or in the community, Guy was always ready to solve problems and offer help, whenever and wherever needed.
When I became an administrator, it kind of encompassed all my likings of dealing with people, everyday problems, the accounting portion of this work, being a president of the Rural Municipal Administrators Association. I represent SARM on their board of directors level, but I am also there representing over 250 administrators. To be their voice at the SARM board table is an honor. Something needs to be done and nobody else will do it, I'll jump in and do it. I just enjoy helping people and just being there for them if and when they need it.
Guy will be greatly missed, not only for his leadership and point of view, but for his support and passion for the associations he represented.
Our board always appreciated Guy's practical advice and his way of thinking of things that others may have missed. Guy possesses great leadership abilities and will be missed. Thank you, Guy, for your service.
Ask Ray Orb for advice about being a leader, and he'll tell you, a good place to start is to be willing to learn and to always be kind and patient. As SARM's president for the past 10 years and a member of the board since 2004, Ray has been all those things and more. It's an attitude he attributes to deep roots, family, and wanting to better our communities.
I was born in an area of Markinch community, actually not too far from Cupar. Basically, I've lived in this region most of my life. I'm a family man. I think that's probably one of the most important things. If I wouldn't have, my wife supporting me, my family, I've got 2 daughters and a son, and I've got grandchildren too. I became interested in council a long time ago. I kind of evolved, I guess, through the municipal system. I began as a councillor and then as a reeve, and then I became interested in SARM in about 2004, and I've been there since. My personal philosophy is, and I've kind of gone through this, I think it doesn't matter what you do. It's important that people listen. If you do listen, you have to be able to try to do something about it as well. SARM is a voice of rural Saskatchewan. We are the only organization out there really that represents rural municipalities. There's a lot of work that's done that's not being compensated for, and people do it out of the goodness of their heart, but they also do it because they want to better their communities. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why I'm here. I've been here for a long time, but I still see that there are changes that we can make to improve things in rural Saskatchewan.
Thank you, Ray, for your time, service, and dedication. On behalf of the entire SARM board, thank you, Larry, Judy, Darwin, Guy, and Ray, for all you've done to support communities, SARM initiatives, and those around you. We wish you the best and know that you'll continue to inspire great things in rural Saskatchewan.
A few of them will be kicking around today, so I know you'll have an opportunity to visit with them. Thank you for your service. All right, while you're seating yourselves, get out those electronic voting devices. Each RM is allowed 2 voting delegates who were designated when you came in this morning and registered. You would have received your voting device. They will be used to vote on resolutions this afternoon, so they need to work. Don't lose them. That's always a reminder, and you can drop them off after the resolutions on your way out this afternoon. Thank you to MLT Aikens for sponsoring the voting devices. I'd like to introduce Michael Carmen with DOTS just to go over the instructions, okay? So if you don't have those voting devices, just grab them. Thank you.
Thanks, Rusty. My name's Michael. I'm with Data on the Spot, otherwise known as DOTS. And we're just going to quickly run you through just how these voting devices work this morning. So it's pretty easy. You've just got your selections right here on the keypad. When a vote appears on the screen, just press the number of your choice. The first answer will power the clicker on and send it. The green light will flash to confirm that your answer has been received. And you can change your answer as many times as you want as long as the question is still open. Your last response will be the one that's recorded. So we're going to do a couple of quick test votes here. If anyone has any issues, just put up your hand and leave it up, and I'll come around and swap out your clicker in case there's an issue with it. But we're going to go ahead and do a couple of test votes here, and they'll be open for 30 seconds apiece, same as the resolutions later on. So thank you very much, everyone.
Is ratepayer mistreatment of municipal administrative staff a problem in your municipality? You have 18 seconds, yes or no? I didn't read that very fast, sorry. All right, that was our first question. Did anyone have any issues with your voting device? Oh, over here, someone's waving. Nope, he's not waving at that. Right here. Okay, Michael, there's one right there.
And there's
one there. There's a couple. There's 3. 4. Yeah, we'll do another question. Well, Michael hands those out. Okay, if you want to. Yeah. Oh, we have a few more. We're just going to wait a second. Okay, one more over here. Okay, Michael, do you see this gentleman over here too? There's two down there. There's two here and three over there. Oh, I also fired. I didn't know that. I thought he was going to read the question, so that's why I rapidly sped through that one. That's so fun. I might should I say something? I should hold it down. Okay, I'll maybe reiterate that. All right, Michael, there's one person over here. In the meantime, if you want to put the question up, then I can read it before we start the timer. And then I just want to remind everybody, you really you got to push and kind of hold it. You know, it's not like opening up your cell phone. You got to give it a good push and hold. All right, if you want to stick the next question, can you put the next question up? It's right there, this one. We're doing it again? Oh, he's doing it. Got it. Perfect. Does your municipality have a public conduct policy bylaw governing ratepayer mistreatment of municipal administrative staff? 1 is yes, 2 is no. You'll have 30 seconds to vote. All right, here's your 30-second window to vote. One, yes at 49%, 2, no at 51%. All right, I think we're, okay, if you did have an issue, Michael will zip around, and I'm going to carry on. I'll carry on here with some announcements. All right, I have a whole laundry list of announcements. They're all important, so I encourage you to follow along with the screens as I take you through some announcements. Emergency exits, you'll see them located around the room. Hopefully we do not have to use them. Reduce your risk. SARM encourages and respects our delegates and guests. Please feel free to take any precautions you are comfortable with while attending the convention and be respectful and understanding of others' decisions. Hats. Out of respect, we ask that you remove your hat in the convention hall as well as during our breakout sessions. Name badges, you have to wear them. They must be worn at all times when you're in the venue. Security does check them. Personal items. Just note that you can't leave your personal items in the convention hall overnight. It'll be cleaned, and personal items might not be here tomorrow when you return. Lunch. If you purchased on-site lunch when you registered online, you would have received tickets when you checked in on-site this morning. For those of you with tickets, lunch will be served each day right here in this room from 12 to 1 p.m. I will mention that if you did not purchase lunch tickets and you plan to leave for lunch, you cannot bring outside food or drink into the venue. They will punch you. Not me, but they will punch you. So you have to eat your food and drink out there and then return for 1 p.m. The convention app is once again active. Our mobile app is free to download. It'll provide all convention details and additional resources and documents and networking features. If you've not already downloaded, please do so through the App Store on your smartphone. Search SARM or use the QR codes on the signs throughout the venue. On the back of your program, there's a QR code too. I encourage you to use it. The SARM Challenge happens on the app again. If you visit the SARM Challenge menu on the app, you have an opportunity to win a bunch of prizes at the end of the day tomorrow. Everything you complete on the app turns into points that you collect. SARM social media. We encourage you to talk about SARM in our convention at SARM_voice on Twitter, SARM Voice on Facebook, or at SARM Voice on LinkedIn for the day's happenings. We encourage you as well to share them. If you're tweeting them, use the hashtag SARM Midterm Convention. A big thanks to Tiger Calcium for sponsoring our convention social media feed. Sponsors. You'll notice our sponsor slides on the screens during the breaks, as well as in our convention guide and on the app. We appreciate their generous support. Without them, our convention would not be possible. Stars, you would have seen Stars right there in the back corner coming up the stairs. Stars is here again. We're doing 50-50 with the proceeds going to Stars. 1 ticket for 5 or 4 for 10, and they're available for purchase at the registration table today and tomorrow. 1:45 is draw time, so obviously get your tickets sooner than later. I would like to mention too, Municipal Leaders Roles and Responsibility webinar is happening December 5th. I'm just sneaking this in there. If you'd like to register online to do that, you can also find out more information too at the registration desk if you're confused. But something that you should be a part of on December 5th is that webinar. Just worth mentioning too, the social events that take place during midterm and convention. Tonight, the Snooker Shack Billard Room, that'll include a roast beef dinner, drinks, billiards with great company, as well as the Stumbletown Distilling will be hosting a VIP experience. You'll enjoy pizza and beer, 2 great things, and a tour of their distilling and brewing facility, and a guided tasting of 5 of their award-winning spirits and beer. So for those of you that register tonight, it's gonna be awesome, even in this snowy weather. If you missed it, we do this at convention and midterm. These events are really fun, super fun to do together with your council. So watch for that coming out in January, February for you to register again for the upcoming ones here in March. All right, I think I made my way through all of the things that I need to when it comes to announcements. I'd like to begin with our acting president, Bill Huber. Bill was first elected to council, the RM of Lipton 217 in 2011. Over the years, he has served on several committees on behalf of the RM, and in 2016 was elected to the SARM board. Bill and his wife Jan have farmed in the Lipton area for many years, raising purebred livestock and growing many cereals and oil seeds. They have 3 sons, 1 daughter, and 9 grandchildren who keep them very busy attending all the sporting events they're involved with. Bill has volunteered many hours at rodeos, 4-H, team penning, judging livestock shows all over North America. He has a long, long list of boards and committees that he has worked for as a member or as president. Bill represents SARM on 21 different committees, boards, and forums. As of this summer, Bill is the acting president of SARM. Please welcome Bill. Bill.
Thank you very much, Rusty. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Midterm Convention, and thank you all for being here. I'm Bill Huber, and it's my great pleasure to join you on behalf of SARM. As I look around the room, I see many faces that I know, fellow farmers, neighbors, committee members, advocates, and champions of this province. For those of you who don't know me, there are really only 3 things to know. My passions in life are people, farming, and rural Saskatchewan. I therefore couldn't have been more honored this year to step into the role of SARM's acting president. Having held the role of vice president for the last 4 years, I know firsthand what a great leader Ray Orb was and how significant his contributions have been. So it's my privilege to continue that work as we all step forward, united, into Saskatchewan's next chapter. A chapter that rural Saskatchewan will significantly influence, structure, and write. It's no secret that Saskatchewan is facing a huge rural and urban divide. But despite the challenges that SARM remains hopeful that our province and governments can and will work together to find solutions that encourage collaboration, relationship building, and a renewed value in a united Saskatchewan. I believe just as strongly that our commitment here today to each other and to this province will bring us one step closer to that. As the voice of rural Saskatchewan for more than a century, SARM has spoken strongly and clearly to represent your interests to senior levels of government. The 4 key concerns I'd like to focus on today are agriculture, healthcare, rural policing and crime, and infrastructure. As a third-generation farmer, this land, lifestyle, and work ethic are part of my DNA. As such, I've had a front row seat to witnessing the effects of agriculture labor shortages, water management challenges. Today, however, I'm going to speak primarily to the first item on that list, agriculture labor shortages. As you're all too well aware of, on-farm labor shortages have become a growing concern for Saskatchewan farmers, and the list of challenges is long. We have an aging workforce. Specialized skills are needed, and to go along with those, an increased workload. We have relocation and seasonal employment challenges that complicate recruitment efforts, all contributing to 2 out of 5 agriculture employers being unable to hire necessary workers. And the financial losses are adding up. Billions in sales have been lost. In fact, a survey by Canadian Agriculture Human Resource Council revealed that 28,200 agriculture jobs couldn't be filled during the peak season in 2022. To address these pressing labor challenges, SARM is urging government to protect agriculture productivity and economic viability by 1, expanding eligibility for Canada-Saskatchewan Job Grant, which will allow farmers and rural municipalities to qualify as eligible employers, providing grant funding for 1A driver shortages, as farm operations are currently ineligible, incentivizing employment and retention programs aimed at stabilizing, oh, I lost my spot here. Advancing employment training opportunities, offering them well in advance of seeding and harvest. Evaluating immigration processes and streamlining requirements to help newcomers secure the necessary permits for entering the Canadian workforce. The time is now to build a more resilient workforce. As we can do that by seizing new marketing opportunities and by welcoming newcomers and supporting their journeys to thrive in our communities, ensuring that the future of our agriculture sector remains robust and competitive. The issue of health care is also top of mind to every person and every family in every community and province across this great country of ours. And those worries become even greater for those living and raising families in rural areas where residents face a shortage of facilities with a health care provider leading to long drive times, a shortage of physicians, nurse practitioners, and other vital healthcare professionals. And backlogged urban hospitals resulting in rural residents often driving a great distance just to wait hours in an overcapacitated urban health center. SARM adamantly believes that ensuring that all residents have access to quality health care is not just a matter of convenience, but a fundamental necessity that impacts the well-being and future of our communities. Now, you've all heard SARM talk about and advocate for the recruitment and retention of doctors and nurse practitioners in this province. Well, today I'd like to talk about another initiative we're advocating for, the addition of pharmacy care expansion programs. SARM was happy to see the provincial government launch a pilot program similar to the one that was launched in Nova Scotia, called the Community Pharmacy Primary Care Program. In short, it gave Nova Scotia the opportunity to add more pharmacy clinics in areas that had little access to a health practitioner, and those pharmacists were able to assess, and prescribe for minor ailments such as strep throat and asthma. We believe that making that same investment in our province and pharmacists would help fill the void for our rural residents. A full-time pharmacy care program would also provide additional opportunities for Saskatchewan pharmacy graduates and allow RMs to have access to a healthcare service in their community that can offer same-day appointments in extended hours. SARM believes that this type of pragmatic and highly achievable program would play a crucial role in improving the long wait lists and times for urgent care and emergency services, as well as lessen the load of practicing physicians and continue to keep rural communities a viable place to work and raise a family. That brings me to the second last issue I'd like to address today, rural policing and rural crime. According to Stats Canada, most recent report on rural crime, Saskatchewan had the highest crime severity index for rural offenses, with intimate partner violence constituting 50% of our violent crimes. Let's just sit with that for a minute. Crime is on the rise everywhere across this country and across this province, but rural areas face unique challenges due to policing shortages, much needed bail reform, and Saskatchewan's vast geographical spread. With fewer police detachments covering larger regions, response times can stretch up to an hour, leaving rural properties vulnerable to becoming prime targets for offenders. Farmers often experience theft of fuel, machinery, and parts, resulting in financial losses and increased insurance premiums, as well as fear for the safety of their families, neighbors, and communities. For RCMP officers, these challenges also mean having to cover vast distances to track down offenders and recover stolen items, preparing extensive paperwork for court cases. Then, despite all of those efforts, the penalties for crimes tend to be so minor that convictions do little to deter reoffending. The solution, for starters, government collaboration. That's why SARM is calling for the federal government to collaborate with provincial and local authorities to address these issues through increased funding, legislative reforms, and coordinated solutions. Specifically, we're asking for increased federal funding to enhance RCMP recruitment and retention in rural areas. The immediate implementation of bail reforms to protect communities from repeat offenders, and the allocation of flexible funding for RMs to implement civic addressing and transition to next-gen 911. Without increased financial support for rural policing so that our communities can feel safe, rural Saskatchewan simply won't reach its full potential, and that is simply not acceptable. The final thoughts that I want to leave with you today are about infrastructure, and specifically water infrastructure. Drought increasingly threatens rural Saskatchewan, affecting agriculture productivity, water supply, and the environment. In other words, reduced crop yields, higher irrigation costs, and soil degradation. As our reservoir and groundwater levels drop, competition for water escalates among agriculture, industrial, and domestic users, worsening scarcity and creating a financial strain for farmers and higher food prices for consumers. But that's not where it ends. Drought also damages ecosystems and increases wildfire risks, further jeopardizing rural resources, natural resources, and communities. The good news is improved water storage conservation and the distribution systems will enhance drought resilience, support agriculture, and protect natural resources. That's why SARM is insisting that federal support is vital to ensuring the future of rural water infrastructure and promoting rural economic stability. In doing so, we have asked for funding for water infrastructure, collaboration with governments, agriculture organizations, and producers to establish effective water management and drought strategies. Increased grants and low-interest loans for irrigation and water conservation technologies. Research investments, streamlined funding access to simplify funding for drought mitigation projects. Drought tax deferral extensions for farmers recovering from drought impact. Water rights solutions to address conflict with provincial governments for fair resource access. And ecosystem protection to support initiatives that preserve natural ecosystems to ensure healthy water supplies and agriculture productivity. That's a long list, a really long list, but a very important list. Good thing is we live in rural Saskatchewan, where our belief in what we can achieve is endless as the prairie sky. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and I hope you all enjoy the convention. Have a great couple days. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. All right, our next speaker is Executive Director Jay Myers. This will be his last kick at the can for Jay on this stage as they leave SARM next month. I could rib him, but I'm sure these next 2 days will be filled with a lot of jabs about what's next and how many holes of golf he'll get in 2025. But let me one last time share about Jay. Jay grew up in southeastern Saskatchewan, where he graduated high school in the town of Carlisle. He started his career in southwestern Saskatchewan, where he spent a decade in the town of Shaunavon, working in the field of economic development and municipal administration. He has been with SARM for a decade as the executive director. Jay and his wife, Janelle, have 2 big dogs who they adore. Please welcome Jay.
Thank you, Rusty. Appreciate it. Yes, and thank you all for attending the convention this year, of course, in Saskatoon, bearing the bad weather. My wife texted me and said the authorities are actually asking people not to travel in Regina because the streets are very bad, so we really appreciate you guys getting here. I will be addressing you guys all for the last time today, as Rusty said, as Laurel Felton, just to my left here, will be taking over the role of Executive Director on December 1st. I've had an unfortunate opportunity to work beside Laurel for over a decade. It's been amazing working alongside each other, watching each other learn and grow. I know the entire board believes in you, Laurel, and does the SARM team. This lady will do an exceptional job as your new executive director. For me, the journey with SARM has had its highs along with its challenges, but what I valued most are the relationships that I built with the SARM board, the SARM team, and you, our membership. From the construction of the SARM office to the growth of our team with expanded capacity and services, to, of course, the COVID-19 era, this role was an active one, to say the least. I want to extend my heartfelt thanks to the SARM board, both past and present, many of which are here today, for putting their trust in me in guiding the Association of SARM. The SARM board has always allowed me the space as well as the freedom to do my job, and that trust has made all the difference. Leadership in associations like SARM definitely starts at the top, and we've been fortunate to have strong, steady leadership around the board table. I would be remiss to not talk about the man I've had a chance to work beside for pretty much my entire tenure at SARM, President Ray Orb. What an incredible human being. I feel fortunate to have learned more in the last 10 years under President Orb than I ever did leaving high school in Carlisle 30 years ago. So thank you, President Orb, as I know you're in the crowd today, for all that you've done, not only for the Association of SARM, but also the province of Saskatchewan. Ray Orb is a true leader by all definition, and I know firsthand he's a greater man. He's taken this association to a new level. We've seen some board transition over the past few years. Transition and succession are essential for associations as they ensure continuity, stability, and sustained growth. Succession allows associations to build a legacy of strong leadership. I'm confident that with Acting President Bill Huber leading the association and Laurel Felton as our Executive Director, SARM is in capable hands, alongside, of course, an exceptional group of leaders around the board table. The membership of the Saskatchewan Association of Rural Municipalities is the lifeblood of the association, playing an essential role in fostering a united and resilient rural voice. I want to thank the SARM membership for your dedication, for supporting and strengthening not just the association, but the entire rural landscape of Saskatchewan. Your commitment to shared goals, mutual support, and collective action ensures that the challenges and opportunities facing our municipalities are met with a strong response. I deeply appreciate our membership's support and willingness to stand by the board and our team. I deeply appreciate our membership's support and their efforts to champion the interests of rural municipalities. Thank you for your strong friendship and partnership, and for being the backbone of SARM's shared mission. Also, thank you for supporting me in the role that I've played with SARM. The best part of that role that I played were the conversations I've had with many of you, that being in person, at June division meetings, our annual and midterm conventions, July board meetings, or even just on the phone or even video calls. This is what I will miss the most. These conversations identified how much you care and your willingness to learn. Your willingness to learn is about how to improve, your willingness to learn about how to improve your own municipalities. Conversations with you also allowed me to grow as well as learn. So thank you very much. Something that often gets overlooked, but is at the heart of everything in rural Saskatchewan, is how we care, including caring about the job we all agree to do, caring about our community, caring about the people around the council table, and most importantly, caring about our neighbors. You give your best, not because you have to, because you want to. Caring is the foundation of trust. And trust, my friends, is everything when you're working as part of a group. With trust, you have unity, you have confidence, and you have a common purpose. When you care, people trust that your intentions are genuine, that you're working not just for yourself, but for the greater good. Alongside caring is learning. And when I say learning, I don't mean you need a master's degree or you need a PhD. Learning can come from anywhere if you're willing to allow it. An example of a learning opportunity is the learning management system that SARM is building for our membership. A new program called Seeds for Elected Officials will be rolled out in 2025. This will include short 10-minute online modules, providing some tips and creating an easy entry point into a learning culture, making learning more accessible. SARM's new Learning Hub will be the platform for the future. Learning can also come from each other, listening and truly understanding where each other are coming from. When you care enough to listen and learn with each other, it builds strong connections between people. It also builds empathy. You're able to understand that everyone at the table has their own unique perspective and their own reasons for the positions they take. Looking at some of the most successful teams or even communities, and you'll see that they have two key things. They care and they're willing to learn. When you have these two things, the possibilities are endless. You communicate better, you collaborate better, you achieve more together. I would like to conclude by talking about the SARM team. The one I know for a fact is the team that the one thing I know for a fact is the team that works for you, our membership. The team that I've had an opportunity to manage cares, and they're willing to listen and learn. They care about you, our membership. This team was built for our membership. This is your team. My father built a winning national champion Junior A hockey team, which I look at as a tremendous accomplishment, and I'm confident he'd agree with me that this team could stand against any other and hold its ground. And while they don't hand out trophies for teams like ours, if there were, we'd be lifting the trophy high with banners already hanging from the rafters. This is how much confidence I have in the team that we've built here at SARM. This is the finest team I've ever had an honor to be part of, and I couldn't be prouder. The SARM team would not be the team they are without you, our membership. In just over a week, I will be leaving SARM. I will be rooting for everyone, or for every one of you from the other side of the glass. To everyone that is watching virtually or in this room, please stay authentic and continue to care and learn together. I want to say thank you to all of you for everything you do for rural Saskatchewan. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to each of you individually. For the past decade, your support for me and the SARM team has been an incredible source of inspiration and strength. Your trust, collaboration, and commitment to our goals have made our journey together mean so much to me. It's been an absolute honor to serve alongside such dedicated individuals who care deeply about the future of rural communities. I almost made it through. Thank you for believing in SARM.
Thank you, Jay. It's my pleasure now to welcome a familiar face, Laurel Felton, incoming Executive Director. Laurel was born and raised in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. She attended the University of Saskatchewan, graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in Agriculture. After graduating, she worked in native fruit and canola crop research at the University of Saskatchewan before moving to Regina, where she started a career in policy and research, leading her to SARM. Laurel has been with SARM since April of 2004, where she's had the privilege to direct SARM's policy programs and communications department through her tenure. Laurel takes great pride in continuing education and has completed certificates in professional leadership and management from the University of Regina, advanced leadership through Intersect Consulting, the executive certificate in local government from Dalhousie University, and most recently, the Effective Executive Leadership Program at the University of Saskatchewan. Laurel is a very proud mom of 2 teenage children, Jillian and Jordan, and is currently SARM's Director of Advocacy and Communications, soon to be the Executive Director come December. Please welcome Laurel.
Well, hello and thank you all for being here. I'm Laurel Felton, SARM's incoming Executive Director, and it's my great pleasure and privilege to join you today. For those of you who don't know me, I'd like to take this opportunity to change that, beginning with telling you that though I'm new to the role of Executive Director, SARM has been my home and my passion for the last 20 years. Wow. And as someone who come up through SARM and benefited from the mentoring and care of all of those that came before me, I can tell you that I profoundly understand the value of being of service to others, the value of advocating and championing, of strong leadership and partnership, of learning and growing, of navigating change and setting goals, and of course, the joy of actually achieving those goals and seeing others achieve their goals. Because of that, it's with great honor and respect for the past that I step into this role that allows me to serve and help you, our members. As SARM's Executive Director, that isn't just something I have to do, it's something I get to do. That's amazing. To me, that's what leadership is about, the belief that we have a responsibility to one another. And that responsibility is held up by a conviction to listen and to learn, like Jay said so well, so that we can not only take accountable action, but also change and grow. From my 20 years here, I know firsthand that the SARM staff and board have never been afraid to change, which is something I promise to continue to drive and support into the future. There's actually a saying that I often think of that goes like this: change is inevitable, but growth is really optional. Well, I can tell you with confidence that SARM is an organization that has never been afraid to step forward into change and grow doing so. So as we look ahead to navigate the changes in Saskatchewan and the world, I can say with conviction that SARM will continue to be the strong voice needed that's united and informed and speaks authoritatively about our needs, resources, and our insights. Wow, as I look out at this room today, I see the power of community. I see the hard work and the legacy of the past, and I see a future that is so bright. So in closing, I'd just like to say that I hope that you, our members, always know that SARM is the place you should call first. Remember that. If you're stuck, or if you need to be heard, or you're searching for the advice or the resources that you need to be successful, maybe you need expert counsel and experience, SARM has that. We have the attention of governments and policymakers. Yes, we have that. And a clear vision for the future, I think rural Saskatchewan has that. And SARM can't wait to help you voice it to the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurel. All right, we're about to get moving. We have breakout sessions to get to today and tomorrow. Please see the screens for the choices and room locations. You'll be able to take 2 in today, so please make note of the times of the breakout sessions. We'll run from 9:45 to 10:45, and then 11 until 12 p.m. And then if you did receive your lunch ticket, if you chose to buy a lunch ticket, make your way back here for noon, and then immediately following your lunch break, we'll get to it with a fireside conversation with Ray Orb. So again, 9:45 to 10:45, then choose another from 11 until 12. You'll see right now all of the choices. There are 3 that you can choose from, 2 of them this morning. All right, thank you. I'll see you back here at 1 o'clock. Enjoy. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is a quick 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning if you want to make your way to your seats. And we'll begin with our fireside conversation with former President Ray Orb. So 2 minutes to make your way to your seats. Thank you. All right, if I can have everyone's attention. Lunch was excellent. If I can have a round of applause for all of the staff, the chef at TCU, that was really good. So thank you for that. I really don't think I need to give him a big introduction because we're going to spend, he's already shaken his head at me. I'm excited to have a conversation to catch up with former President Ray Orb. If you can give him a warm welcome to the stage. Ray, oh, let's see here. Hold on. Hello? Hello? Just give us a minute.
I could try this one. This one is working.
This one is not working. Okay, switch me for a second. We might have a microphone dance here, but welcome, Ray. Thank you. I'm sure that this has felt a little bit like a reunion being here. You know, you've been here for many midterms and conventions and division meetings, but you've had a small snippet, a taste of retirement, you and Val. What's it been like having a bit of a break from everything SARM the last couple of months?
Well, thanks very much, Rusty. I assume this is working. Everyone can hear. Okay.
No.
Not very good?
Oh, there.
Wow,
On
that's
now.
a lot better. Okay, thanks very much. You know what? This is great. I just want to mention to our delegates, you know, I've had a couple of questions. Why'd you actually step down? My health is very good. I've continued probably for a while longer. I didn't run again as Reeve in my home municipality. So I thought it was time to start slowing down. Really, my family is the ones that I made the decision for. We have 3 children, 2 in Saskatoon and 1 in Calgary, and we just didn't have time even to visit our daughter in Calgary because of, you know, being the SARM president just dictated I needed to spend time with SARM. And so this has given me kind of a new lease in life. It was surreal this morning when I looked up and saw our board and our staff basically running the convention that I used to be a big part of. So I'm enjoying the retirement, but I still got a lot of thoughts in my mind, some of the things that you might want to talk about today.
Yeah. Now, you've been involved in municipal politics for 37 years, even though you don't look any older than 45, Ray. So I'm sure if you think of over, you know, the last 37 years, you've likely had to trudge through some issues, and you've had some things that have, you know, been frustrating that you've had to work through. Can you sort of, you know, rehash a little bit about those issues or those times, those things that helped you, you know, push through some of those frustrating times? Because, I mean, there had to have been some frustrations in 37 years.
Yeah, definitely there were a lot of frustrations, and you know, I think it was stated earlier on that I'm someone that has a lot of patience. It's true. I think as a elected official, especially in RM, you have to have a lot of patience. One of the things that did stick out, I think, over the years, it was always an issue for us prior to, I guess, 2007, was the unfairness of education tax on farmland. And I think that's one of the reasons why I decided to run for the SARM board in 2004. And over the years, it was slow, but we convinced, working together as board and members, we convinced the provincial government to change that. And to this day, there is tax relief in the millions of dollars every year to farmers, and farmers in rural Saskatchewan really appreciate that. Some of the things, that were an issue then are still issues now, and it was talked about a bit this morning. Rural crime, we already starting having trouble 20 years ago with rural crime, and I know SARM is working towards alleviating some of those concerns. The other one, infrastructure, that hasn't gone away. But there was a SARM rally just after I got on the SARM board in 2004, going back to education tax, and that was something that stood out. When would SARM ever attend a rally where they were vocal to the government, opposing the government of the day to do something with education tax? Those things stuck out. In my own career, there was one time when I was a protester. I protested because the government of the day didn't have good safety nets for farmers. And actually, not many people know this, my wife and some of my friends, but I slept in the Legislative Assembly in Regina overnight on the marble floor. Wow. I was one. That's before I got on the SARM board. But I still remember that because it was something that farmers needed to work together on, and we did work together and convince the government to change, and they did change.
Now, I kind of, preemptively chatted with you about what we were going to say, this afternoon, where we would go. But I want to throw this one in because you've, rehashed some time back then in 37 years, some of the things. Is there anything that you think, this is unfinished business for me? Or, as you left, you closed this chapter of SARM, but inside you thought, there's still some things that are unfinished business. Do you have any of those that sort of resonate with you still?
Well, some of the things I didn't mention, rural crime, working with the RCMP. I know the province, is looking, I know there was a workshop on the Marshals program, and that's still, as far as I'm concerned, it's unfinished business. Mm-hmm. Infrastructure, and I go back to my experience that I did have with FCM. We'll talk a little bit about that too, because some of those things that have been going on forever in this country, not only in Saskatchewan, but across the country. Rural Canada, I think, has been really underutilized, and I think we've got a lot of potential there, and I think that's unfinished because we're just really tapping into that now, and we can talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah. I know over the last run you've had with municipal politics, you've met a lot of people, you've shook a lot of hands, you've been all over, you've sat on boards and committees, you've chaired them. Who has been that person that's been a real mentor and a leader for you that you've thought, I wanna step in their footprints. They're excellent at what they do. Who are those people that stand out for you? Maybe one person, maybe a few.
It's probably today. There's probably over 1,200 of them in this room that have been kind of a part of my mentorship program. And when the annual convention came around, there's over 2,000 of them. Mm-hmm. But really, the ones that I was involved with, more of a one-on-one, I guess, on the SARM board. The first SARM president was Neil Hardy, and I think Neil Hardy had kind of shaped my future on the board and kind of got me started in the right direction. Another one was Don Taylor. I know Don Taylor is here today. I think he's probably the longest-standing SARM board member in the province, if I'm correct on that. He has been part of that. Sinclair Harrison, I remember him, of course. He still lives in Regina, and I run into him once in a while, but he was very passionate about SARM. I've been very fortunate, and I think I'm going to mention that now. I was really fortunate to be on the FCM board of directors, to be able to travel across the country and to meet with many other organizations. We call them sister organizations, RMA, the Rural Municipalities of Alberta, the AMM, the Manitoba Municipalities Association, SUMA in Saskatchewan. We were allies, Western Canadian Municipal Association, and convinced Ottawa to stand up for municipalities that had oil and gas and pipelines and Energy East and Trans Mountain Pipeline and Keystone XL. They were all on the chopping block and still are. But we convinced the FCM to pay more attention to this. It's not just the big cities. I don't want to show any disrespect to the big cities here or across the country, but rural Canada, I was told the big cities, this is what I was told, and I don't totally believe it, but the cities are the engines that drive our economy. we convinced them that if that's true, the rural municipalities are the fuel to run those engines. Without that fuel, without us, the grain farmers, the cattle farmers, the people that grow, that produce lumber, or the miners, or whatever it is in this resource sector that we have, we actually fuel those engines, and that's what drives our economy.
Now, throughout all those meetings and through policy changes, and sometimes, like we talked about, the unfinished business, I'm sure that you've learned some hard lessons. And sometimes, you know, the hard lessons are hard pill to swallow. I'm wondering if you can share some of those hard lessons where you said, oof, I got a punch in the face, and I felt it, and here's my takeaway from that. I want you to kind of share some hard lessons.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. I'd go back, I think, to the first meeting I actually had representing SARM, and there was a gentleman in Regina who was the executive director of SARM. His name was Ken Engel, and I remember going to a meeting, to his office rather, and he directing me to go to my first meeting. And I said to him, I actually don't know much about this meeting. I'm not sure what they're going to ask me. And he said, well, rely on your experience as a rural councillor and use that, which I did for a long time. I used that for quite a while. But at the first meeting, I wasn't prepared, and the people there realized I wasn't prepared, and so I never let that happen again. I always made sure that when I was going to a meeting, I was prepared. I relied on our staff. To make informed decisions, you have to have the right information. You have to know where you are in the room, and you have to know what the issues are, and that's one thing. I kind of learned that the hard way, and I never forgot that, and still to this day. I rely on the people around me. I was always told, if you get advice from that's right, and you can trust it, go back to the same person again for that. And to me, it was the SARM staff and the rest of the board.
Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about hard lessons. The flip side, a big win. Can you kind of share over the years some really big wins, some accomplishments that you thought, this feels so good, we got there?
Well, some of them, you know, I've mentioned already, I think that education tax stood out. Some of the road programs, the infrastructure. When I drive around rural Saskatchewan, and I did a lot of that, I saw roads, clearing the path roads. If you look, and if you're off a highway, you see a clearing the path, a green sign, a green and white sign. That's the SARM program. The funding came from the province. In some cases, we might get some federal funding for some of those roads, but by and large, it's provincial and RM funding that goes into that. And that is, those roads are actually what drive our economy. So those things have been a success, and I'm proud of that, because clearing the path, you know, it started way back, I think 2006, when we actually started that. Some of the wins at FCM, being on the FCM board, building the relationships, I think, is really important. I know Jay Meyer has been very good at that, saying we need to build a relationship, for instance, with this organization. Mm-hmm. And you get to know them, and they know us. Being respected, I think, number one. In Ottawa, I guarantee you there isn't a member of parliament or a senator that doesn't know who SARM is. Mm-hmm. SARM is actually well known, but we're also well respected because we stayed out of the weeds in a lot of cases. A lot of the issues we like to stay high level, but we make sure that that people know what we're talking about, and we get our points across. And that's only because, you know, we've got great communications at SARM. We have a great staff. We've given countless presentations to House of Commons standing committees, Senate committees, and they know how we feel about most issues. So it makes, I think, our job for a little bit easier.
Now, a big accomplishment that I wanted to share with you, because I know you don't know this news, but the SARM building is paid off. And that's, I'm sure, a special place for you because, you know, you were in the previous building and you got to bring in and welcome and chat with a bunch of people in the new building, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely right. And for some reason, I don't know why they named the boardroom after me. So that was a total surprise. So when I go back, and I actually have to go back next week, I'm very proud to go into that building. That was actually the third office. During my tenure at SARM, we started off on Hamilton Street. They ended up Cornwall Street and ended up deciding, you know, I think it was a smart business move for SARM to have their own building and to own that building rather than paying lease fees. And it's very good, and we have a great venue for our staff to come to work. That if it's a place that people like to come to work, and it's great for our SARM board and great for our members as well.
It'd be silly for me not to have you sit up here and talk about some pieces of advice, something that you could leave with these RMs, and many RMs still trying to recruit new members, younger members. I know that's been something we've talked a lot about over 5-6 years, about how do we introduce more people to become a counselor, a reeve, eventually have dreams of becoming you on the board, a president someday. What are some pieces of advice you'd give to the RM sitting here looking to recruit more members, or young people in the crowd that are just hopping in for their first midterm convention or heading into their next convention?
Yeah, that's actually an interesting question, and I think, I mentioned I'm very fortunate, but I think for people that are interested in getting on a council, I know that SARM is advertising. I heard the advertisements quite a bit lately. We were attracting we're not just saying young councillors, but we want to attract new councillors. And I think it's very helpful if they know that SARM is there to help, because we have a great support staff. But to be able to do that, I think you have to find people that are dedicated too, and you have to find people that are able to spend the time. It's not just a one issue for anyone. There are a lot of issues, but I think that collaboration, working together, is always very important. And there are lots of people out there, and I think basically we're maybe a little bit underutilized when it comes to having people out there in the RMs that not just want to stay for a certain length of time, but it's getting harder now too, because I know we have larger farmers, and I know as yourself, busy on the farm, but we're there to support, and I think we want to make sure that our members know that, so that they're not deterred, to make sure that we will spend the time with them. And there's more education coming down. Jay mentioned that this morning.
Yeah. Now, if you could fortune tell, if you had some magic ball that you could predict the future, what do you hope and what do you see rural Saskatchewan looking like in the next 15, 20, 25 years?
Well, looking forward, I think, I mentioned this a bit before. I think we're kind of on the precipice of change right now. I think we've got all the resources in this province, in the rural municipalities, on the farms, the ranches, the forestry, the northern part of Saskatchewan, where a lot of the mining is done, potash mines and things like that. We're really lacking, I think, in value adding, and I know that some of it is the attitude can be in some places where people don't want anything in their backyard. But I think we have to kind of get over that, and we have to be able to work together more to attract industry. I know in my own rural municipality, we have a project. We have a gentleman that wants to build a flour mill, and a lot of the neighbors are really upset about this, and still they started to realize that, hey, we'll be able to deliver our grain, we'll be able to get some added money for that. So I think it's going to change a lot. It's changed a lot in the last 20 years that I've been around on the SARM board, but I think that changed due to technology really pushing it a lot harder, and people being able to communicate a lot better. Things are going to actually improve. We have to make sure that the RMs remain viable. We've always said we want our members to keep their autonomy, and I think we will be able to keep it. It might look a little bit different in 5 years, but we're still going to be out there, and we're still going to be working hard for the things that we believe in.
Now, Ray, we talked about what it's like to be a part of a municipality for a long time, for 37 years. Jay mentioned it, as he was saying his closing speech about caring. Obviously, the people here in the crowd have deeply impacted you. They've cared for their RM just like you. For people that are kind of in the thick of it, right? Trying to do all the things, volunteer for their community, keep those organizations going, be a part of, rural life, which is naturally busy. What do you say to the folks here in the room that are just in the thick of volunteering and putting in the time and the effort? How do you keep that mentality of care going year over year?
Well, I think that's really through being able to be passionate about what you believe in, and to try and to bring someone else in that's as passionate as you are, and that is a bit of a challenge. But when I decided to run, I can go back to my past experience. I was convinced by other people to get involved, But I think it was really the way I believed rural Saskatchewan should be, and that should be a better place. And I think that is in the minds of most people. I think we're here for the same reason, and I think that's why we have more in common. I'll give you one example of this group here today. A lot of you have driven on really bad roads, and we have a lot of bad roads in Saskatchewan when the weather gets bad, but we're here for a reason, because we want to be able to work together, and we want to be able to succeed. The resolutions that are debated, that's kind of the guiding force behind what the SARM board does, and there's a lot of work that goes in behind there. The volunteers, and really, I think the delegates here know that for the better part, being a rural councillor is a volunteer position. There's not a lot of money in it, but there are a lot of rewards at the end, and I think at the end, I know the 4-year terms did deter some people, and some people like 2-year terms, and that was quite a big change, but I would just go back to collaboration, be able to work together with not only ourselves, but other organizations.
Now, I'm sure you've been asked a million times already over the last couple of months, likely throughout your morning here already. We, of course, had to enjoy a beautiful lunch. It was lovely. We got to meet your son and your daughter-in-law. What is next for you and Val? Like, what is the next little bit of your life going to look like now that you won't be involved in such a big way with SARM?
That's kind of I guess that's an open chapter in my book. I haven't really decided. I'm supposed to be retired, but actually I probably spent more time doing projects that I never had time to do before. It has been suggested, and I thought about this. It might be a good time to sit down and to try and document some of the meetings I was at, maybe the people I met, and what some of the issues. The idea of writing a book would be something. I don't know if a municipal councillor or even is anybody successful in writing a book in this province, but I think to a large extent, the job of an elected official is overlooked. You know, provincial MLA is very important, and federal MPs are very important, but the jobs that rural councillors do, to me, it's more important than anything, because you're right there, you're in the front line, you're listening to the people, taking their concerns, but you get the job done often. There is no one else to help you. Your team in an RM, you're the ones that have to get the work done. So I'm kind of leaving that open. I'm not, I haven't decided what to do, but I'm kind of happy with what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. I'm doing lots of different projects. I'm trying to help our children as much as I can. I try and take my work truck and my toolbox with me. In fact, my youngest grandson wants my toolbox. I'm not sure why.
You can't retire that yet.
I don't think I trust him with the power saw yet, but it's good to catch up, and it's good kind of to reflect on the past at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Well, as we close here, because as you know, my job is to keep the convention on time, Ray, I want to sort of leave you with a last word. Is there anything you'd like to say to the crowd, maybe about your time, anything like that? What's your closing remark? You know, the last chapter in the book, the one where you close it and you say, that's it.
Well, you know what? I just honestly, I'd like to thank everyone for listening to me today. I know there's been lots of board recognition today, and I think it get to the part where people don't have to recognize me for what I've done, because I've gotten my reward, and just seeing how much RMs have progressed in this province. I don't need any more thanks, but I'm glad that people are here today. I'm glad that you and your fellow councillors and Reeds and administrators supported me over those years. I was, I went through the SARM system, I guess, so to speak, but I'm very thankful for that opportunity. So that's what I want to leave today, is my thanks to you, the delegates, and hope you'll run into each other again soon.
Lovely. If we can all give Ray a round of applause. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Ray. I just wanted to quickly remind you, since I didn't have a chance after lunch to do so, Stars Air Ambulance is still selling 50/50 tickets, and SARM, of course, is a dedicated sponsor of Stars. So if you haven't purchased your 50/50 tickets yet, please do so this afternoon, as well as tomorrow morning. We make that draw pretty early tomorrow afternoon, so I don't want you to miss out on snagging a ticket. The draw will happen tomorrow at 1:45. As we continue on, I'd like to welcome Stephen Egger to present on the RMAA salary. Stephen is the managing partner of NIBS HR Consulting, a Saskatchewan-based human resource consulting company specializing in small to medium-sized organizations. Stephen is a lifelong learner with nearly 25 years in experience, a variety of public and profit agencies. He's created and implemented human resource services, policy evaluation, strategy, change management, communications, and organizational development programs. He has senior human resource leadership experience in safety, learning, culture, executive board support, labor relations, diversity and inclusion, payroll and analytics. He has a laundry list of excellent experience. Stephen strongly believes in collaborative solution development. He's a leader, a coach, a mediator. He is married with 3 awesome kids and a great big dog named Ivy. Welcome, Stephen.
All right. Oh, maybe there's a clicker on its way. Okay, perfect. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I always laugh when I have a chance to hear my own bio because it sounds like I spend about 3 minutes on one topic and then jump to another world and another experience. And a little bit of that really did help inform my world as a consultant after years in the public service. So today, I'm going to give you a brief overview of results of research from the Rural Municipal Administrators Association Salary Guide Review that our firm completed in 2023. So really the objective was to review the administrator's salary guide and to assess the compensation of administrators in Saskatchewan. Because often we hear about differences in experience and as administrators and for council as well, you typically only have one employee. And unlike a large organization where there's lots of jobs to look at, there's multiple people to have that conversation with, administrators are your lone employees. So how do you engage them well in their compensation conversations, and what do they need to know as well was part of this background thinking. So in 2023, we ran an online survey. Our response rate was 77%. And normally for most comp style surveys, if we can get about 40, we're pretty happy with that. So to get 77, we're really confident in the breadth of information that was provided. And what we did to break it down to make it easy, we looked at averages, medians, and standard deviation. We also had some comparators to some sister organizations that Ray mentioned previously. So really what we found all in all is almost 100%, nearly 97% are full-time employees. 94% don't get overtime payments of any sort. And this goes to the normal experience for administrators. As a chief administrator, you are a management employee, so pretty normal for them not to receive overtime. About 17.8% were eligible for an EDO, so an earned day off or something similar. And we see, particularly in public sector organizations and nonprofits, where there's more use of the EDO or a scheduled day off, some flex time, because often when you do the wash and the entire thing, your administrators are working overtime and more than overtime over a year to accomplish all their roles and responsibilities. And on that line, about 17.6% are eligible to receive a bonus. And this one can be a bit of a tough nut for folks to get heads around, particularly when you're talking about public dollars, be them federal, provincial, municipal, and the bonusing structures. What I do see on the research side is in nonprofits, we're seeing more folks, particularly at that senior administrator level, be eligible for some kind of a performance bonus over the year. Sick days, pretty normal, around 12 days. Vacation, on average, folks started with 15 days, and for those of you who like the Sask Employment Act, that's the base for the act. and then it tends to increase with tenure therein. Some folks reported values as high as 25 and 30 days. That also tends to go with the 25 or 30 years experience. And then with respect to working from home, only about 10% are eligible to work from home. And this one is one I often have a conversation with the RMs around. It's maybe some flexibility when in the office, but you can't run a grader from home. You need to be on the equipment. So in some sense, for the fairness piece, that's pretty reasonable. So when we actually started to pick apart the data and the information that came out of it, what we did see was higher budgets for the RMs overall correlates with higher salaries. And in terms of numbers of employees, the median number is 5, so right in the split's 5, averaging 6.6. So folks have 6, 7 employees overall. And this one I found interesting. In the rest of the public service, federal and provincial, your unionization rates are about 70% and higher. And in the RMs themselves, it's only about 11.2% of those RMs are unionized. We did also see with those pieces, the reports back, that folks tended to make a little bit more money as a consequence. Most of the administrators are single RM administrators, 80%. A small, that 3.6% are joint or duplicate. And this is a question we often come up. What do we do with the contracts for folks who are working in those situations? And you'll see here, for those that do have dual roles, rural and urban, or rural, et cetera, mixed bags thereof, about 65%, nearly 2/3 have a single contract. So it is something that you can manage as a council with your sister council, if that's something that works. And then finally, which I really like to see here, 81% hold their Class C, and then those folks, in terms of driving the professionalization of the administrator role, folks who have their roles superior completed are paid nearly 30% higher than their counterparts. So some encouragement to continue that run. We did have a bit of a look at 3 organizations, being Alberta, Manitoba, and then UM in Saskatchewan. And what I wanted to show on this slide was just a little bit of how they came to their values. Alberta looks at some dollars, minimums and maximums. They look at RM population, the overall budget, and the numbers of employees. They include some additional contract metrics for evaluation, and they do tend to make an effort to really share information with their administrators, and that, to be clear, this is not to say that Saskatchewan doesn't, but that Alberta was quite proud of the fact they're making this effort to get the information out there, because often as an administrator, you may feel you're the only cat in the house. So it's nice to know there's some friends out there to get some information from. Moving over to Manitoba, their matrix really focuses on a skill base, including communication, conflict resolution, education, credential, etc. We see a couple of those in the bottom, and a lot around accountability. So it's not simply that the administrator is getting a salary, but there is performance planning, there's work planning for the year. What has to go on for the administrator's year to have been successful? And to throw a plug in for this work in general, it's really helpful for everybody if we're clear as to what the expectations are. In a quandary sometimes I hear from administrators is council doesn't quite understand. Going in with some accountability expectations, you're clear as council, and your administrators are clear what those expectations are. One thing I did want to mention with Manitoba is they found that gender made a significant difference, with women in administrator roles being paid 20% less than their male counterparts. We do have a pay equity expectation in the province and nationally. So this is a bit of, from a job evaluation and an equity standpoint, this is a concern for Manitoba and something they're working towards. The UMIS, the Saskatchewan Urban Municipal Administrators Association, quite similar in the assessment tool that's used by our MAA. Where we tended to see a difference with the UMIS schedule was where the UMs are large. Huge taxable tax base, more population, proximity to urban centers, et cetera, tended to drive their salaries higher. So when we looked at wages, we saw a pretty wide range, from as low as $37,000 to as high as $190,000. On average, in the median, so average being that mathematical average and median being the dead midpoint. So at 50%, 49 or below, and then 50 ahead. The standard deviation of $21,000, what standard deviation tells you is when you look at something on average, how close to the average is the thing? And the bigger that standard deviation value gets, that tells us that there is a really broad range of salaries in the province. And then with respect to the actual guide, 60.5% actually follow the guide on a year-to-year basis, and about 40% don't. And some of the concerns raised by those who are not taking advantage is the complexity of the operations not reflected in the guide. And this was often paired with reference to other industries and environment, being mining, proximity to large urban centers, etc. Some folks found that relative to government of Saskatchewan and the private sector, that the administrators are being paid too low. And that in order to recognize the expertise required in the role, and I'll touch on that in a second, they look to raise that guide. Some actually follow the UMAAS, any SUMA recommendations as well. And that this one I found interesting in a few places where council takes the suggested increase year over year for inflationary pressures and applies that, but does their own thing outside of the guide. I wanted to touch on the role of the administrator for 1 second, and occasionally we get administrative assistant and administrator lined up together as the same thing, and I want to be clear that they're not. The administrator, in some organizations call them chief administrators or chief municipal officer, a number of other titles, pardon me. They are your only employee. And if you look through the bylaws, you look through the Municipalities Act, and you look at the roles that an administrator is expected to play on a day-to-day basis, and I came up with a bit of a hefty list here. Leader and financial manager, they're your strategic thinker, so taking the advice and interests of council and turning that thing into the actions that drive the RM. They're analysts for financial information. They project manage activities. They write all the policies for the organization and often will have a hand in writing policies for council. They're your communicator with ratepayers, with the employees. They're also a local government expert. Those are the folks who've completed their rural superior and those certificates that give them the background legislative knowledge they need to apply that fairly for you. And for so many, they're conflict resolvers. With employees, they're helping to facilitate conversations with council, so they got a pretty broad range of skills. So when we think about the inevitable contract negotiation you're going to have with council or council's going to have with their administrators, some of the things that folks thought would be really important to know is what's going on in other organizations, including things like salary and benefits, perks that they may be, whether it's a vehicle, it's some flexibility, time, etc. One ask was the consistent application of the grid by the RMs. So if things are done differently down the road, that can have a bit of a consequence on the administrator. Some suggestion on education for council. So what's the role of the administrator and what's the role of the foreman? And typically just the tip of this, generally speaking, because the administrator is your only employee and supervises the foreman, they normally will have a higher wage than the foreman's salary, just to put some context in place. We talked a little bit about accountabilities and community impact. There was some ask from the administrators around some collegial support, and I know RMAA does this work already, availability for contacts, but that ability to talk to their brothers and sisters next door and in the periphery to know what's going on is so very important. Gender I mentioned already, and of course quite a few of them mentioned like some opportunity to earn a bonus and for some flexibility on the work environment, and those can be things simply 1 day a week at home or a couple of days a week at home was the most often. When we looked at the salary guide from a compensation perspective, it's on point. It combines knowledge, skills, and experience, which really are the basis for your job evaluation project. The one thing that's not there is working conditions. However, folks all work in office, so that's basically the same consideration. What we did recommend was including things like accountability and impact. for consideration in the future. And this is about understanding what that role does and how it has an impact in the community, because ultimately your administrators are the ones accountable to ensure the work is getting done. Extend the progressions, and I use the SAS Teachers Federation as an example, has 12 steps. So broadening that from the minimum to the maximum may help with your retention. And another one in what was suggested around, be more consistent in the ranges. If we look at the ranges from top to bottom across that schedule, they vary by varying percentage. So our suggestion was, instead of one's 20 and 15 and 28 and 18, that they be a consistent value. And another possibility is, of course, rewarding commitment for long service. So at a 20-year or 25-year, kind of the gold pin idea. So the amount of knowledge that they carry with them over those years is so very valuable to the RM. Some recommendations for the future: standardize your job descriptions and contract provisions, because often the calls I get around, I don't know how to negotiate this piece, or what should be included in the contract. So there is certainly opportunities to be more standardized. Then a template can be utilized, which is consistent across the RMs. Look to index-based compensation and market to inflation. This one can be a fairly easy one to look at. The Government of Saskatchewan Ministry of Finance publishes CPI and inflation rates. We may not like what the numbers look like, but they're consistent for everybody. I mentioned before, expanding that wage criteria, including things like credentials outside, business degrees, masters, CPAs, etc. We can include pieces like education, experience, the size of the budget. Span of control is about how many people you supervise. Do recommend and appreciate the advice from Manitoba, SUMA, UM from Alberta, giving up some of their time and information. So that do continue to have conversations with folks. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, and there's some great ideas out there. And in closing, promote mentorship amongst the RMAA colleagues, lean into each other, have those conversations, learn, so we don't have to recreate the wheel and the whole situation works better for anyone. And on that, if you happen to have questions, don't be afraid to send an email. I'll be hanging around for a little bit out in the foyer. Do come and say hello and ask a question, and thank you very much for your attention today.
All right, thank you, Stephen. This year, we're introducing something new called peer group discussion. So these 4 sessions are based around irrigation, RMs bordering urban, oil and tax arrears, renewable energy projects. So what I'd like you to do is choose one of those that you think is very relevant to your rural municipality. You'll find the room listed on the screen, so you can pop the screen up there. So this is where the peer group session rooms will be for those 4 topics I just said. So each room will have a moderator like you're used to, but then there'll be a mic for you to chat. So we're trying to create good conversation. So we'll see you back here. It's a 1-hour session. Pick one, and then we'll resume in here at 3 o'clock for resolutions. Thank you. Enjoy. Attention. We're going to begin resolutions in the next 2 minutes, so enough time for you to pour that cup of coffee and then make your way to your seats, okay? So 2 minutes before we begin resolutions. Thank you. I bet you, when you pronounce and enunciate and your facial expressions 4 is too much. The wobble. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we slowly get into resolutions, I just want to mention a couple of things here. Is there anyone here from the RM of Prince Albert? Where are you? Over there? Okay, where's the RM of Estevan? Oh, there. See that guy? And you guys need to meet. This is me making this introduction happen, okay? So Estevan would like to meet Prince Albert. So now he knows where you are, and he'll come find you at the end of the session. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, I'd like to welcome Executive Director Jay Meyer to welcome into resolutions.
Hello, anybody else want to meet? No, just joking. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the presentations today and are ready for what we find as probably the most fun of the day is the resolution session. I'm gonna run you through some instructions for our resolution session today before I hand it over to Rusty to chair the session. But a quick thank you to Purlinger Group Benefits Limited for sponsoring our resolution timer. You'll see that on the screen. Each resolution will be read and shown on the screens that you're looking at. The mover will then be provided 3 minutes to speak to the resolution. So 3 minutes for the mover. There will also be a timer on the screen, so please be aware of how much time you have remaining. Rusty will be providing a 30-second warning. Once the mover has spoken, the floor is open for debate. You must be a member of council or administrator to speak for or against a resolution. You will have 2 minutes to speak for or against. Once again, there'll be a timer on the screen for that as well, and a 30-second warning will be provided by Rusty. Once all debate has concluded, the resolution chair will then call for the vote. For those that want to propose an amendment to a resolution, please use the resolution amendment form in the convention guide to help word your amendment before you go to the mic. Just a little bit of help there. You can jot something down before you get up if you prefer to make an amendment. The resolution chair will walk us through the process for each resolution. But at this time, I would like to recognize the 2024 Resolutions Committee with representative from each of the 6 SARM divisions. We got Chair Bill Huber, SARM Acting President. We got Division 1, we got Aaron Kiesig, the RM of Calumet, number 216. Division 2, Joselle Robertstad from the RM of Chaplin, number 164. Division 3, Darren Steinleys, SARM Acting President from the RM of Excelsior. Division 4, Harvey Milanowicz from the RM of Sliding Hills. Division 5, Wendy Trask from the RM of Corman Park. And Division 6, Leslie Clark from the RM of Parkdale. So let's give a round of applause to these individuals who meet. We came up with this resolution committee by resolution, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, and it really has cleaned up the process. They meet before and after the convention to give recommendations, and it's really appreciated. So I'd like to take the time right now to turn it over to Resolution Chair Rusty Dean.
Thank you, Jay. I am pleased to serve as the chairperson for this year's resolution session. Our first order of business will be a motion to appoint a parliamentarian for this resolution session. I am pleased to introduce Mike Morris and Adrian Toth from the SARM Legal Department. I would ask that someone move that we appoint Mike and Adrian as parliamentarians. I welcome a representative of the mover to speak. I now open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against this resolution. Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is carried. At 96.7%. The next two resolutions are bylaw resolutions. Bylaw resolutions must have 2/3 of the votes cast in favor by voting delegates to be approved, where regular resolutions must have more than half of the votes cast in favor by voting delegates to be approved. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 124 changes to resolution voting RM of L Cross number 307. Be it resolved that the minimum requirement for passing any resolution be raised from a simple majority of 51% to a 2/3.
I think we'll just begin again from the beginning. Thank you.
Resolution voting RM of L Frost number 307. Be it resolved that the minimum requirement for passing any resolution be raised from a simple majority of 51% to a 2/3, 66.7% majority.
I welcome a representative of the mover to speak to this resolution. All right, Mike 2.
Thank you. Call 2307.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Every resolution that is presented here and passed is advisory to the board. It doesn't matter what organization you belong to, unless it's specific. The mandate is advisory to the board. Whether we pass 34 resolutions here or 21 resolutions here, the board and staff will never get to all of them. So they're going to put a priority on these resolutions. And if a resolution passes with, say, 55, 60%, how hard is the board and staff going to work on it, taking it to the minister and trying to get it passed as policy? Put yourself in the seat of the minister or deputy minister. They get a resolution coming to them with only 55% support from the organizational body. How hard is it, of course, to their cabinet and Congress to get it out law or policy or whatever. So instead of having someone else do the color of these resolutions with no votes, let's make them all 2/3, same as bylaws. So I look forward to
I now open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against the resolution. All right, we have someone coming to mic 1.
It's worked very well in the past. The resolutions are a democratic process that have passed away in majority. We're just to think back over the years, how many of our very valuable resolutions that we've taken forward and acted on and got good results from only passed by, say, 3 or 4% over majority. But we're glad we had them. And I think it's a democratic process to really look at everything that people have of interest out there in a serious tone. As far as the SARM board and staff not looking at every resolution seriously, that is an error. They're all taken seriously. Sometimes the very most important ones are the ones that are acted on because of time constraint, but they're all taken seriously. So I would urge the delegates to defeat this. It's worked fine in the past, the simple majority, and we'd like to keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Oh, you can close, yes. Mic 2.
Thanks, Rusty. Thanks for that comment. If I remember right, what was it, 2-3 years ago, there was a resolution to license ATVs. It passed very narrowly. The very next meeting, the resolution came up and it was beat very narrowly. So talking with some of the board members, they felt a little short because they pushed that a little bit with the minister and then they had to retract it. So yes, you take it seriously, but sometimes it's not practical to take those close ones. So let's kick it up to 2/3. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is lost by 63.5%. Again, the next resolution is a bylaw resolution. Bylaw resolutions must have 2/3 of the votes cast in favor by voting delegates to be approved, where regular resolutions must have more than half of the votes cast in favor by voting delegates to be approved. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 224M limits to time served as SARM President and Vice President RM of LFROS number 307. Be it resolved that the position of SARM President and Vice President be limited to a maximum of 3 consecutive 2-year terms.
I welcome a representative of the mover to speak to this resolution. Mic 2.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Paul 307, sorry. You went 2/3 the wrong way on that last vote. Anyway, we don't currently, other than we have one director, and that's our sitting interim president that has more than 4 years experience on our board. Some people see that kind of number as a negative. I see it as a positive. The numbers with our board members means that they're coming in with new ideas, new energy, new experiences, new relationships. And if you look at the executive members of our board, we've had 2 presidents in the last 22 years. That has some positives, but I also see the opportunities of putting terms on them because for the very same reasons with our directors. New executive members will come in with new ideas, new energy, new experiences, new strengths, and new relationships. And it also focuses on something that Jay said to us earlier today with succession planning. If you're sitting on the board and you've been there for 10 years and you still have the same president, what are your options for moving up? If you know that there's somebody coming every 6 years, you have a chance to move up, you have a chance to improve yourself and take a run at the VP or at president. And we are starting fresh. Coming in March, we'll definitely have a new president. And there's a good possibility we'll have a new vice president. So they're both positions will be starting at 0. We're not pushing anybody out. And as Laurel said, this organization is very strong on moving forward and not afraid of change. So I would ask you to make this change.
All right, we're going to move to mic 4.
Jeremy Welter, 350 Mariposa. I'm speaking in favor of this motion. You know, one of the key topics that's talked about both at midterms and at our annual convention is leadership development. And there's very little value in developing leaders if you're not making room for those leaders to become leaders. By putting term limits on your presidents and your executives, you allow room for renewal to happen in your organization. And I think as we go forward and we try and plan for the next 20 years, we want to see this organization continue to grow, and we want to see continuing and ongoing renewal. So I'm speaking in favor of this, and I'm asking everyone to support it.
Is there any further discussion? Oh yes, mic 4 again. Thank you.
Hi there, Doran Scott, CAO of the Armed Blue Chip number 343. I just want to remind everybody that there's an election every 2 years for president and vice president, and if you don't like the way things are going, step up.
Any further discussion? I'll call the question. Please vote now. Yes, okay. Yes. Ooh, this could be interesting. That resolution is lost at 74.5%. The remaining resolutions are not bylaw resolutions, so only 50% of the votes cast in favor by voting delegates are required to be approved. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 324M. Agriculture and Economy Committee Representative RM of Alfrost number 307. Be it resolved that the SARM Board consider appointing at least 2 RM representatives to the Agriculture and Economy Committee to ensure a broader range of perspectives and expertise is included.
I welcome a representative of the mover to speak to this resolution.
Hall 307. Another opportunity for you. You've blown the last 2. When opportunity knocks, you're supposed to open the door. As many of you know, councils are being made up of more and more non-ag representatives, which isn't bad. It brings different perspectives. But when it comes to the ag committee of the board, ag and economy, we want to make sure that there's ag members on that committee. Now, we're even getting non-ag members on the board of SARM, and once again, that's not a bad thing. But we want to make sure that ag is heard. Jay made mention of the resolutions committee and how that has changed with 4 years ago there was a resolution to put district reps on the resolutions committee. It's made it work. And this resolution suggests that we do the same thing with the Ag and Economy Committee. Thank you.
I now open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against this resolution. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call, anyone? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. This resolution is carried by 61.1%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 424M. Resolution Process Refinement RM of Mariposa number 350. Be it resolved, the chair of the resolution committee should be the moderator of the resolution portion of the SARM conventions.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. Mike 4.
Jeremy Welter, 350.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it seems to me that since we have a resolutions committee and they're the ones doing the intake on all of these, going over them, talking with all of the municipalities that have made the resolutions, it would make sense if someone from the resolutions committee was the moderator or the chair of the portion of this of the meeting. So
I now open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against this resolution. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is lost by 53.8%. This next resolution was postponed at annual convention. An update from the Rural Municipal Administrators Association will be read after the resolution. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 524M. Administrative Best Practices Manual. RM of Mount Hope, number 279. RM of Montrose, number 315. RM of Viscount, number 341. RM of Vanscoy, number 345. RM of St. Peter, number 369. RM of Lake Lenore, number 399. RM of Hoodoo, number 401. RM of Rosthern, number 403. RM of Invergordon, number 430, submitting RM. RM of St. Louis, number 431. RM of Birch Hills, number 460. District of Lakeland, number 521. RM of Big River, number 555. Be it resolved that SARM see to the creation of an Administrative Best Practices Manual for utilization by both rural and urban municipal administrators, prepared in conjunction with SUMA, UMass, and RMAA and their respective Board of Examiners, Ministry of Government Relations, and legal departments. Update. Letter from RMAA's Executive Director to SARM's Executive Director, dated May 23, 2024. Further to your letter of April 4, 2024, regarding Resolution 2424A Administrative Best Practices Manual, please be advised that this resolution was submitted by a member for consideration at our convention. During the resolution, session members had the opportunity to be heard and, when presented with the question, voted overwhelmingly against, thus defeating the resolution. Given this direction from the members, the RMAA executive wishes to advise SARM that the majority of our membership opposes the resolution put forth to SARM. If you would like clarification or additional background, please contact me and I would be happy to provide further details.
As this motion was moved and postponed at the annual convention, we will go straight to debate. Mike 3.
Am I through? Yep. So thank you, Madam Chair. Sheila Kiesig, President of the RMAA. So according to Rose's letter, our Executive Director, we had this resolution come to our floor in May of 2024. We discussed, we debated questions, you know, and just as we do at this convention. It was defeated approximately 85%. So at this time, our membership has given us direction as a board to not go ahead with the best practices manual. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Mike 2.
Courtney Bollier from the RM of Invergordon, Administrator speaking on behalf of Council or Permission Council. I guess as a submitting RM, we would just like to, I guess, acknowledge that this was defeated at the RMAA convention. As you can see, there is some support from other municipalities of this tool. And I guess now back to SARM is we're not quite sure why it was defeated. We can't really understand. It is a tool for administrators. It's only going to help them do their job better. It's only going to help share information. It's a good thing. So I guess my question to you councils is, do you want to vote for something that will help your administrator do their job and all their fellow administrators do their job? Because at the end of the day, that's all that tool will do. I don't see a negative downside to it in any way, but that's just my 2 cents, and we do ask for your support on this resolution. Thank you.
We're going to go to Mike 4 next.
I'm Joanne Loy. I'm the CAO for the Rural Municipality of Manitou Lake 442, speaking with direction of council. We had a very heated discussion at our November council meeting on this resolution. One question to council I had is, what do I need to do for tax enforcement? My council does not know. Urban councils will not know. If there is to be a best practices manual, it should come from government relations. There are many, many guides out there already. And the other question is, who's best practice? Who is to decide that happens in an office on the other side of the province is what I should be doing in my office. It is not necessarily the best practice for everybody. Thank you.
We'll go to Mike 2.
Wayne Bacon, the RM of 430. I guess when you look at what our administrators do, and they do a tremendous job out there, but sometimes they can waste 2 or 3 days just trying to figure out one stupid little thing that might happen in our RMs that takes them too long to do. And if we had a manual that they could get some guidance from, it would really help us in getting the results that we need from our administrators. Thank you.
We'll move to Mike 4. Mike 4.
That's me. Okay. Gerald Muller, RM of Canwood Councillor. I spoke to this the last time, and I got it kind of ambushed. I wasn't prepped for this, but seeing as there's comments one way or the other, I seen this happen in the real estate business. It was all started with the best of intentions. We've seen provincial regulators step in and take more and more control away from our own association to the point now the licensing authority in Saskatchewan is basically running the real estate association, which was supposed to be self-regulated. That was the intent when this all took place. So if you feel the creep of bureaucrats sneaking up on your RM office, this is it. Have them run it for you.
All right, seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. This resolution is lost by 71.7%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 624M, Wind Turbine Design Constraints, RM of Weyburn, number 67. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to have provincial standards and regulations in place for wind turbine design constraints, including but not limited to setbacks from residents, other industries, property lines, and height restrictions. Be it further resolved that if the provincial government is not willing to introduce standards and regulations for wind turbines, then a moratorium be implemented on wind projects in the province until there are regulations for municipalities to follow.
A mover to speak to this resolution will go to mic 3.
My name is Josh Manel, Councillor for RM of Weyburn, number 67. The RM of Weyburn Council has been getting bombarded with questions and concerns over a proposed wind project in our community. We have done our best to research and learn about the potential issues a project like this presents. However, these green projects are quite controversial in the province and in our RM in particular. Where is the provincial government? More importantly, where is SaskPower in helping RMs answer the hard questions from our ratepayers that will be affected by these projects? Thanks.
I'll open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against. We'll go to mic 2.
Hi, Dwight Bouchard, RM South Capel. There's just too many unanswered questions with wind power, and if our government's not willing to step up and be the leader that they should be in this instance, then I totally agree with this. There should be a moratorium against wind until somebody steps up and takes control. I mean, I was just in a energy meeting here, an open mic meeting basically, and it seemed to me in that group there was a lot of unanswered questions. To move ahead with something and leaving us to kind of flail in the wind isn't right by our government. So I agree with this.
We'll move to mic 4.
Jeff Wheel, RM 72. I agree with this. We have windmills 5 years ago. We had to do all the research ourselves of the whole projects. 100%, we need some guidance somewhere for this. So I would agree 100% on this.
Any further discussion? I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is carried at 89%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 724M, Effective Tax Rate, ETR, RM of Eyehill, number 382, RM of Sinlac, number 411, RM of Turtle River, number 469, RM of Mervyn, number 499, Submitting RM, RM of Peyton, number 470, RM of Eldon, number 471. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to remove the effective tax ratio and support each municipality to administer their tax tools that best fit each unique community and the diversity within. Be it further resolved that if the 7-to-1 effective tax ratio continues, that all rural municipalities are given the same extension time frame for compliance.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll go to mic 2.
Gordon Spencer, RM of Mervyn 499. The RM of Mervyn number 499 was given a 2-year extension to adhere to the provincially mandated ETR. Effective 2023, a limit of 7.1 effective tax ratio was placed on local tax tools, a further ratio reduction from the 9-to-1 in 2014. Rural municipal councils in Saskatchewan have experienced ratepayer dissatisfaction on the provincially mandated ratio. Commercial industrial property classes require municipalities to address many infrastructure deficits adjacent to their improvements to align with Saskatchewan Growth Plan. The increased cost to maintain the access for the commercial industrial property classes are impacting the service provision to the agriculture and residential property classes, of whom are equally important. These increased costs are creating inequity between the property classes.
I now open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is carried by 66.7%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 824M, Farm Building and Construction Standards, RM of North Battleford, number 437. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to have the definition of farm building include the requirement to qualify as a farmer by holding a valid farm fuel tax exemption certificate, or something prescriptive and similar in evaluating a previously qualified farmer.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll go to mic 3.
Reeve Dan Bardco, RM of 437 North Battleford. Yeah, we're just looking for some clarity on this because you get someone that comes in that wants to do something and all we're going with is just by word of mouth, whether they're a farmer or not. So.
I open the debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against. Mike 2.
David Greenwood, RM of Corwin Park, Councillor. I would ask you to vote against this, and the reason is that even in Corwin Park, we're getting smaller properties that are doing different types of farming that may not qualify for a farm fuel tax exemption, but if they don't have a building to put their property in, an ag building, stuff disappears off their property. Theft is an increasing problem, and by segregating this to only farmers that farm 1,000 acres or 500 acres or make more than $30,000 or $40,000 a year that the farm fuel tax exemption requires is just not fair and isn't representative of our voters. Thank you.
We'll move to mic 3.
Craig Owner, I'm Councillor RM of Frontier. I just concur with this guy. We got people moving into our small community, buying little acreages that are recently empty, and they're homesteading, right? They're moving out of these big centers, these cities where they have all the red tape and the restrictions, and they're also available to the ag industry to help out with the demand for seasonal help. So I don't think we want to put restrictions on these people by bringing in more red tape. If your RM wants to put a bylaw in place to define farm buildings and make more restrictions, go ahead and do that, but let's not mandate it province-wide.
Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is lost by 77.5%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 924M, Energy Code Requirement, RM of North Battleford, number 437. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to remove additional red tape and costs to construction by reverting back to the base Tier 1 requirements for energy standards and come in line with neighboring provinces.
Welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll start at mic 3.
Yeah, Reeve Dan Barco again, RM of North Battleford, 437. Yeah, like right now, we're going to be, well, now this Tier 3 thing for this energy standard requirements going to be pushed back to 2026. But at the moment, like Alberta's still on Tier 1, Manitoba's still on Tier 1, so we're at a lesser competitive advantage with our neighbors. So we're just looking to ask the government to review this. Thank you.
I now open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against this resolution. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is carried by 80.8%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 1024M, Emergency Planning Act, RM of Meadow Lake, number 588. Be it resolved, the province and SARM investigate the possibility of appointing one regional EMO coordinator for each SARM division that can be cost shared by the participating municipalities within that division.
A mover will go to mic 1.
Richard Levesque, Administrator for the RM of Meadow Lake, number 588. In reference to the resolution, the legislation is kind of old, and I don't think it's realistic. It expects every community, regardless of size, to have an EMO coordinator. It's difficult to budget for somebody that may only have part-time work, and it's hard to keep somebody who's part-time doing the work. So the responsibility usually falls on the administrator. And I think a regional EMO coordinator would be more efficient. And with most fire departments, they serve more than one jurisdiction, and wildfires, windstorms, and flood events usually affect multi-jurisdictional boundaries. So it makes sense to have a full-time regional provincial EMO coordinator that could be funded by all the groups by a special levy, either through population or by and/or assessment values.
I now open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against. We'll move to mic 3.
Hello. My name's Ray Allen, Reeve for the RM of McKillop 220. My previous history, I was a safety professional. I was an emergency management coordinator, trained emergency responders. I'm not saying I'm for or against this, but some things to consider. If you do have an emergency in your area and your fire department has an emergency management operator or coordinator, whatever title they may have, you run into a conflict of who controls the scene, who controls the situation. RMs, in my opinion, much like large corporations, should be in support of the local fire departments, help them get trained to be an EMO, and support them when there is a large emergency. Wild grass fires, forest fires, floods, whatever it might be. RMs may have pumps, they may have graders, they may have backhoes, whatever's needed for that emergency. That is your support to that event. Let the trained people who deal with those events run those events and manage them. because the conflict of who manages the event can be catastrophic. There's lots of dialogue, lots of books out there that have written about these conflicts. So I'm for supporting our emergency responders, but not getting in the way of them. Thank you, Madam.
We'll move to mic 1.
My name is Tim Brote. I'm a counselor for the RM of Edenwald. I'm also chairperson for our regional EMO that we have out there. We have basically 6 communities that we represent, and we try to have mock disasters or tabletop exercises at least twice per year. If we get much bigger, I don't think that we'd be able to accommodate a lot of extra people. If you were going to put everybody in the same group from a division perspective, there is no way that you're going to be able to practice. And quite frankly, we are trying to assist our first responders in doing their job. We're not going to try to get in the way of them, but if you start going too big with having multiple agencies, it's not going to work. So I would strongly suggest defeating this.
We'll move to mic 4.
I just wanted to say the concept I think is good. I'm Brian Schaff, Administrator, RM of Snipe Lake, with permission of council. I just wanted to say I think the concept is good, that regionalization of this this type of thing is good. I don't know that the SARM boundaries are the thing to use. In our case, we are separated by a river for the people south of us. But we work with the people north of us, so that would be our natural area. We are in process of setting up a regional with the same coordinator, which she has become an expert in various things EMO related, which we can take advantage of instead of several people doing it. One person is doing it for the area, but I think this could be done. I think this could be done voluntarily without SARM. Maybe some direction, but without SARM actually doing the work. Thank you.
We'll move to mic 1.
Swartz, RM of Meadow Lake, 588. We tried to partnership with our neighbors and stuff on in this endeavor, but we didn't get anywhere. We hired some EMO coordinators in the past. We didn't get anywhere. They keep quitting, leaving us. We spent many, many dollars, thousands of dollars there trying to get to where we have our EMO plan and getting a coordinator in there, and it's not working. So it's nice for people that have them, that's great, but we need help get one. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All right, seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. It's great. Not even wiggling at all. I would have liked to, but it was too much of a lean. Can you imagine? I knocked this whole thing off. That resolution is opposed by 70.5%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 1124M. Traffic lights 9th Ave Northwest and Highway 1. RM of Baildon, number 131. RM of Hillsborough, number 132. RM of Moose Jaw, number 161, submitting RM. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the Ministry of Highways and Infrastructure to set aside funding for the immediate plans to install traffic lights at the intersection of Highway Number 1 and 9th Ave Northwest within the city of Moose Jaw within a 2-year time frame until a more permanent and viable solution can be implemented.
A mover to speak to this resolution, Mike 4.
Ron Brumwell, the RM of Moose Jaw, the Reeve. We're just looking for some support. Intersection has been a problem for 50 to 60 years. Department of Highways has done a study on it, I believe back in 19, and they still haven't decided what they'd really like to do. We'd just like lights put in the interim because we anticipate that to be 10 to 20 years before they get anything done. Thank you.
I open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against this resolution. We'll move again to Mike 4.
My name is John Metz. I'm a counselor with the RM of Brats Lake. I'd just like to throw our support towards this motion. I know from my own career, prior to this, I was a police officer and at Moose Jaw. And I think there was 9 fatal accidents that I had in my 21-year career at that intersection. So I know it's a dangerous intersection. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now.
Getting wrinkles from the poor exposure, UV exposure, in these bad lights.
That resolution is carried by 78.9%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 1224M, Highways Ditch Mowing, RM of Manitou Lake, number 442. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the Ministry of Highways to establish a policy of an annual 10-meter minimum cut with a 4-year rotation of a full cut for all highways other than 4-lane highways.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll go to Mike 4.
Brian Natras, RM of Manitou. With just a little cut, the trees are growing right up to the side of the highway almost, and moose and deer and everything are getting closer and closer, and it just doesn't look nice. So it'd be nice to get at least trimmed back once in a while.
I now open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against this resolution. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is carried by 87.4%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 1324M, First Aid and CPR Training, RM of North Battleford, number 437. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health to have first aid and CPR training as part of the high school curriculum, so that every student learns this very important life skill before they seek employment where it is a prerequisite or before they come across an individual that may require it.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll move to mic 3.
Yeah, Reeve Dan Barco again, RM North Battleford 437. I move it.
I open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against this resolution. Mic 3.
Thank you. I just want to say that I am in support of this resolution, but I ask for just one amendment, that the Ministry of Education and the Minister of Health have to have Certificates 30L curriculum as part of the high school curriculum so that every student learns. So what Certificates 30L is, it's a locally developed curriculum already in Saskatchewan that offers a credit to any student who takes it if they get 100 hours of certificate hours in more than just first aid. It's hunter safety, trappers courses, the HEV course, the boat safety course. There are a list of 30 different certificates that are offered in this curriculum already with Saskatchewan. The only problem is that it's locally developed, so every school who wants to offer it has to get their superintendent's permission to offer it within the high school.
All right, you need to, don't go yet. I need you to come back to the mic and then exactly word what you would like the amendment to say.
Okay, it would be exactly how it is written here, that the SARM lobby the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health to have Certificates 30L curriculum as part of the high school curriculum so that every student learns this very important life skill before they seek employment, where it is a prerequisite before they come across an individual that may require it.
Yeah. Okay, so we just want to confirm that we are adding, I'll get, actually Jay, you want to?
So just for clarity here, are we just adding certificate 30L curriculum before first aid and CPR training, or is that what you want to add to?
First aid and CPR training are part of Certificates 30L. It's inside that curriculum.
Okay, so you don't want to make an amendment if it's those two are in there, or just confused to how you want to word it?
Can you just say it again, but omit what you said? Can you just say it again without the first aid and CPR, just with 30L?
That SARM lobby the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health to have Certificates 30L as part of the high school curriculum so that every student learns.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Now we need the mover to approach again, mic 4. I'll give you a moment to get there. Pardon, mic 3, sorry.
Yeah, I think I'd like to just keep ours just separate. I think there's validation in what this person is trying to put forward, but I think I'd like to just keep this one separate. Just keep it as it is.
All right, we'll have no amendment then. Is there any more discussion? I see no further discussion. I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is carried by 76.7%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 1424M, Construction Delays, RM of Hillsdale, number 440. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the Ministry of Environment and Ministry of Parks, Culture, and Sport to provide funding to municipalities to cover increased costs for heritage studies and construction delays due to sensitive species.
A mover will go to mic 3. Oh, pardon me. Mike, can you just come over to mic 2? Or I was going to go to mic 3. She was first. Mic 3 first, and then I'll have you, sir, just come to mic 2.
Trevor's going to move it.
Oh, okay. Mic 2 first.
Trevor McRae, RM 440. I move this motion.
All right, we'll open it to debate. Mic 3.
Janet Hollingshead Leslie, CAO for the Arm of Hillsdale, and I speak with permission of council.
Oh, pardon me. I just need to clarify. Okay. Our legal department's just going to speak on this.
Okay, so just to clarify, under our resolution policy, a second person can't speak from the Arm of Hillsdale until other people have had an opportunity, that's all. So if you could just wait in case there's someone else who wants to speak.
All right, we'll go to mic 3.
In 2023, the ARM constructed 1 mile of road as part of a school bus route. A heritage assessment was required for 1 quarter, which consisted of a gravel pit and cultivated land. Additional cost for this was an additional $3,200 plus due to finding a bird in a tree adjacent to the construction. Outside of the new right-of-way, a buffer zone was required, slowing down our construction. In 2024, we encountered another heritage assessment in birds. Again, these birds were outside of the construction area and again, additional costs. In Saskatchewan, our construction season is limited in time and as well as due to weather. These additional delays are making construction projects more expensive. We feel that the heritage assessment database needs change. It needs to be updated to reflect the changes in the use of the adjacent farmlands. And hopefully that change will result with RM saving time and money on construction. Please support our resolution.
Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is carried by 90.3%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 1524M, Sask Power Rates for Municipal Rink Facilities, RM of Silverwood, number 123, RM of Willowdale, number 153, submitting RMs. Be it resolved that SARM lobby Sask Power and the minister responsible for Sask Power to recognize the not-for-profit nature of municipal rinks and the value that they provide by offering a reduced electrical rate for all municipal-owned rink facilities.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll move to mic 3.
Lane Chesney, 153. I'll move this motion. And we do acknowledge that election promise was made to double the grant.
I open the mic to debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against. We'll go to mic 4.
Jeremy Welter, 358 Pass. I am on our local rec board, and I had a rec director forward me the Sask Power costs for the arena only. It was $8,600 in January, $8,200 in February, $7,800 in March, and $6,300 in April, and that includes, of course, between $400 and $600 a month in carbon tax. I think it's important to recognize that when the province did offer to rebate the carbon tax on home heating, it was only on home heating. All of our rec facilities still pay the carbon tax. We estimate that we spend roughly $20,000 a year on recreation in Kerrobert just on the carbon tax. So you can imagine what the bills are for recreation in a small community. You know, something like this from Sask Power would go miles to ensure that some of these public use facilities can stay open in some of the smaller communities to continue supporting rural development and rural life. Thank you.
We'll move to mic 1.
Oliver Pask, the Reeve from the RM of Fertile Belt. And speaking for this motion, but I just wanted to pass on some concerns from our council because we're in favor. We recognize the importance of these facilities to to their communities and this sort of thing. But we wanted to communicate to this room at least that what we're proposing or what's proposed here is basically a short-term solution to just provide more funding. In the long term, we're probably better served to look at sort of more sustainable solutions, maybe grants to work towards more energy efficient facilities and this sort of thing. So we agree with this proposal, but would just like to recognize that there's probably more work to do in this area. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. This resolution was carried by 94.4%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 1624M, Sask Power and Sask Energy to lower or subsidize costs for rural residential service connections. RM of Britannia, number 502. Be it resolved that SARM lobbies Sask Power and Sask Energy to subsidize or lower the costs for service connections to new rural residences until the housing crisis shortage in Canada has been resolved.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll go to mic 1.
Bryson Leganchik, CEO for the RM of Britannia. I have permission to speak on behalf of Council. Council wishes to move this resolution.
Would you like to speak on it?
Not this time. If anyone has any questions, it's fine.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now.
There should be like a note that's sent out that's like, you're given 3 minutes when you go through the time to like put an effort to get in through the resolution. You should take your 3 minutes. I mean, not that you can like send an email back being like, prepare yourself for 3 minutes, but you kind of want to.
This resolution was in favor by 72.4%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 1724M, Capital Gains Inclusion Rate, RM of Excelsior, number 166. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the federal government to reconsider and rescind the changes to the capital gains inclusion rate that came into effect on June 25th, 2024. Be it further resolved that SARM lobby the federal government to engage in a thorough review of the long-term economic impacts of the proposed changes and consider alternative options that could help achieve their intended tax revenue goals without adversely affecting the Canadian economy and the agriculture industry.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll go to mic 2.
Darren Steinley, RM of Excelsior.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Somebody has a spending problem in Ottawa, and now they're coming after your money. So this is detrimental to people who are investing in agriculture land, and it's not good for long-term family farms. And I've also spoken with some medical profession, doctors, etc., that are really against this tax. And we're having enough trouble keeping doctors in rural Saskatchewan, and this is another detriment to doing that. So I just ask you to vote in favor of this resolution.
I now open the mics for debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. This resolution is carried by 96.1%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 1824M. Water Security Agency, RM of Turtle River, number 469. RM of Peyton, number 470. RM of Mervyn, number 499. Submitting RM. Be it resolved that SARM collaborates with Water Security Agency and Saskatchewan Health Authority with a focus on source water protection and to define rural municipalities' responsibilities and obligations as directed by the province. Be it further resolved that SARM lobby the provincial government to provide additional resources to increase the quality of life for all Saskatchewan people by being the best water management agency, providing safe, reliable water that drives economic growth.
A mover to speak to this resolution will go to mic 2.
Gordon Spencer, RM 499, Mervyn. Any rural municipality that has a water body within their jurisdiction has an obligation to ensure public safety and that municipal objectives are met. We require adequate qualified professionals that are knowledgeable to support our municipality. Local municipalities are burdened with the cost to ensure that our ratepayers are accessing safe water bodies. Having SARM advocate on behalf of municipalities would provide concerned ratepayers with better and quicker access to information. Saskatchewan's growth plan, the next decade of growth, 2020 to 2030, messages to build a better quality of life for Saskatchewan people, to build strong communities and strong families, and grow a stronger Saskatchewan now for the decade. The provincial government needs to recognize the provisions and resources that rural municipalities require to support their growth plan.
We'll move to debate. Going to mic 3.
David Greenwood, RM of Corman Park, Councillor. Number 344. I would say that we have enough government oversight. The Water Security Agency has gone out of their way to make it difficult for ratepayers to manage wetlands, to dig wells and dugouts, and I just think that this is a really bad idea to give them more oversight and to request their help. I would ask that people vote against this.
Any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is lost by 70.4%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 1924M, Canada-Saskatchewan Job Grant Eligibility. RM of Aberdeen, number 373. Be it resolved that SARM lobby the federal and provincial governments to have municipalities included in the list of eligible employers for the CSJG.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll begin at mic 2.
Kevin Kirk, RM 373. I move this motion.
Would you like to speak to it? I open the floor to debate. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is carried by 90.4%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 2024M, reinstate the use of strychnine. RM of Winslow, number 319. RM of I Hill, number 382. RM of Round Valley, number 410. RM of Cut Knife, number 439. RM of Meota, number 468. RM of Turtle River, number 469. RM of Peyton, number 470. RM of Eldon, number 471, submitting RM. RM of Wilton, number 472. RM of Mervyn, number 499. RM of Frenchman Butte, number 501. RM of Britannia, number 502. RM of Loon Lake, number 561. RM of Beaver River, number 622. Be it resolved that SARM lobby Health Canada's Pest Management Regulatory Agency, PMRA, to restructure the guidelines and reinstate the use of strychnine to control mass populations of Richardson's ground squirrel while meeting current standards for environmental protection.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll begin at mic 3.
Larry Lundquist, RM of Eldon, 471. Pretty self-explanatory. I'm sick and tired of buying 22 shells and putting them in a gun that I have a prime minister that wants to take it away from me. And even at that, I can't seem to kill the gophers fast enough because they have their babies before they come out of the holes in the spring. I'd like to kill them in the holes with the strychnine. That's where the dead bodies are. And we found out that 9,000 signatures in the province of British Columbia on a petition got strychnine canceled by Health Canada. I think we as a community in province of Saskatchewan, and I'm quite sure Alberta will join in with us, can get a lot more signatures to get it back again.
I now open debate to anyone who wishes to speak for or against this resolution. Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is in favor by 89.1%. Please play the next resolution.
Resolution 2124M, Information Services Corporation, Land Registry Fees, RM of Meeting Lake, number 466. Be it resolved that SARM lobby ISC to incorporate a reasonable and fair fee schedule.
I welcome a mover to speak to this resolution. We'll go to Mike 4.
Yes, I'm Randy Aumack, Reeve of the RM of Meeting Lake. It's kind of a self-explanatory resolution. It came to light, I guess, when I was talking to my accountant, and he told me that he was going to be buying shares in ISC. I think that it's pretty realistic, though, when there's people trying to do a succession plan with their sons to try to get them farming, and then ISC is taking a big gouge out of that, out of their money or the money that they're trying to transfer over. This came to light with the price of land the way it's gone. So I'm asking you to vote in favor of this motion or resolution.
I welcome anyone to debate this. We're moving to Mike 4.
That's me. Hi, Trevor Martin, RM of Milton. I support this. ISC are basically pirates that steal from you, and you should vote in favor.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, I'll call the question. Please vote now. That resolution is carried by 94%. That concludes our resolution session. Thank you for your time and attention, as well as thank you to Perlinger Group for sponsoring the timer clock. I want to remind you, please return your clickers, your voting devices on your way out to the registration desk. Thank you for a great afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow morning beginning at 9 a.m. If you're heading to our special events tonight, enjoy. Thank you. As you run out the door, I might be coming to your hotel room. Room number 220, I have your hotel key. If anyone is missing a hotel key, come up here. Thank you. Oh, I'm coming to your hotel? Just kidding. Okay, come on up here.